Greg. Hello, everyone. Um, we at PMsquare, we're trying to put out weekly live content covering an array of interesting different tech spaces. The best way to keep up with whatever appeals to you most is probably on our YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/PMsquare. Or you can see our upcoming events and maybe sign up for some event notifications or our newsletter on our website at pmsquare.com/events. Angie, if you wouldn't mind posting that in the chat, that'd be fantastic. So, everyone, thanks for joining us for this live stream. We're going to cover the realities of living in a world where most of us have several analytics tools in play and speak to just how a UBI, Universal Business Intelligence, or analytics content or catalog solution is really helpful in this space. So I'm Craig Colangelo. I'm a senior solutions architect with PMsquare. I've been leading analytics teams for over 20 years as a warehouse director, a BI manager, a lead developer on an EDW team, and as a consultant. So I've participated in and a bunch of different analytics practices. So I've seen this from lots of different angles. So I think that kind of gives myself and possibly others in our organization kind of this unique perspective on what it means to operate in this world of multi-layered, multi-tooled BI. To me, I can kind of clearly see the advantages and disadvantages of having multiple analytics tools in play. I'm sure a lot of us can, but my colleague Greg Jungels is with me today. Say hi, Greg, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll set the table for us.
Yeah, hi, Craig. Thanks a lot. My name's Greg Jungels. I'm, again, one of the solution architects here at PMsquare, and I've got some pretty exciting technology I want to show you guys.
Awesome. Exciting tech always makes me happy. I know it does you as well. So today we're going to talk about the reality of living with and owning multiple analytics tools. We're also going to show you some potential solutions for how to best present this information to your data consumers, given the disjointed nature of utilizing different presentation methods and stacks. So we think this is a really important topic for most analytics shops because of the investment that we all make in analytics tooling. We're oftentimes, we have these extensive teams to support each offering, each bit of software, and each system that houses the tools. We have admins that make it all run smoothly. And we're all ultimately trying to make sure our decision makers in the organizations can, in each of our organizations can kind of get to the right information at the right time in order to do their job well. So the point is that we invest so much time, so much energy, and a bit of cost into the presentation layer and these individual tools themselves, but we do very little, honestly, to curate it, tailor it, synthesize it, and even more importantly, be able to report across it all. We don't make it easy enough for our data consumers to find the information that they need easily. So think of UBI, Universal BI, as kind of like the Oregon Analytics Catalog. That's kind of what Gartner calls it, as like the last leg of the journey. It's taking all of the right artifacts and making them accessible to the right people at the right time. Angie, I sent you some links. If you wouldn't mind posting those in the chat. These are going to be links to a couple of presentations we've published on UBI portals or analytics catalogs, whichever you prefer. One is what we're going to go through in the next few minutes, really kind of like a value prop. And the other is a best practices document. So when you get a chance, take a look at these and use them to kind of help sell the perspective if you agree with it. We think they're pretty helpful in level setting the overall value and articulating our best approach to living in this multi-analytics tool world that we live in. So let me share a screen. All right. All right, so the reality, this is one of the links that I sent, and you can feel free to peruse at your own pace whenever. But let's talk about the reality. The metrics here. What's true for most? The reality is that 80% of organizations that we talk to support way more than one analytics tool. The reality is that many have 5 or more analytics tools in play, each with like a distinct portal. And most have at least 3 content systems that house those analytics artifacts, whether they be like the individual portals or network file systems or S3 buckets or whatever. Obviously there's lots of different ways to house these artifacts, but On average, data consumers spend nearly 4 hours per month just searching for the information that they need. And the majority of them feel overwhelmed when they're working with our analytics tools. And that's honestly the last thing that we want. Again, go back to the investment that we talked about earlier, right? We spend all this time and effort and money getting all these things stood up. The last thing we want is for people not to be able to find things. So the reality is that truly data driven companies outperform their peers by 20%. So I know that we can do better and we can seize on that opportunity to outperform our peers, right? So we should really build our analytics presentation layers such that being a data driven organization is easy and apparent. So, really, the main problem with having all this fantastic analytics content in disparate systems, both analytics tools and content systems, is that it's hard for any decision maker to get to the content that they need in order to make these decisions. So it adds confusion, frustration, and time to your data consumers' workflows because each exists in the systems where they naturally originate. Which it means it's behind a single door, usually a portal that leads to each individual analytic systems or content systems. But imagine a universal BI portal, again, also called an analytics catalog system, making it possible that the idea of having a single door, a UBI portal, a single pane of glass that incorporates in a very curated, intentionally curated, and collaborative manner all of the analytics and content systems in your that your data consumers go to in order to do their jobs. So no more hunting and pecking, no more silos, and at the end of the day, faster time to value, which is what we all want. You've already invested so much time and effort in each of these individual systems. All you have to do now is unleash them and do that last leg of the journey, right? And to us, Universal BI portals and analytics content or analytics catalog solutions kind of do that. They take you that last mile. And it really is a lightweight solution that adds a lot of value in order to be able to do so much more. So I'm going to quickly touch on just a few of the benefits here. And then we're going to let Greg get into showing us around, why they're important and what they kind of look like from a consumer perspective. So, consumers in these UBI systems, they have a single point of entry. Again, it reduces time to search. It reduces complexity. It gives the necessary knowledge workers, the information at their fingertips, and it allows them a much easier path to navigate across each of these systems. Um, you can create composite dashboards. So you can literally create these presentation spaces or objects across each of the distinct tools or artifacts and combine them all together. Fantastic, right? You can create stories and add narrative elements. Of course, like I said before, you can search across, all the different systems. But importantly, you can tailor it to each user group. So whether it's a role, a department, a tenant, a different company, like an operating company, you can tailor it to that specific user group and brand it accordingly. You can collaborate and use additional metadata when searching. So think of things like peer reviews, feedback on the different systems, commentary, and then of course all those things become searchable, right? So it's just making everything so much more accessible. In a lot of these systems too, you can have custom updates come to you. So, or even like metric based events like threshold, alerts and things like that come right to you or give you even a daily summary at the end of the day so that you don't have to go to the information can come to you. Importantly, you can also audit against or audit across all of your analytics systems. So, that's especially important come licensing re-up time. Imagine if you can see heat maps of logons, for example, in one system are increasing and the others are decreasing. Maybe you want to spend more license money on that product instead of the other one, right? But another really important thing too is that an outcome of utilizing these UBI portals is that data literacy naturally improves. So the simplicity of the tailored interface and the ability to search across all systems kind of help with this outcome. But even better than that, it's really a great tool to house these actual data literacy programs. So you can create almost like a landing page for your data literacy program and mix content from each of your different systems and artifacts in order to house these literacy programs nicely. So that's a bit about the what and the why, but I've been talking entirely too long here. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Greg, who's going to show us from a consumer perspective what these UBI or analytics catalog systems look like. So, Greg, let's get our feet wet a bit. Let's focus on the front end, consumer-facing functionality in these UBI tools, so that we can all see why it's beneficial.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. I think you pretty much went through my whole demo right there. So let's see if I can fill it in a little bit more. Let's see screen here. Hang on a second. I'm trying to get to the right screen.
How many monitors do
And
you have, Greg?
well, I got 2 right now, but let's hope this is it. All right, that looks good, right? All right, so yeah,
Looks good.
yeah, as Craig was talking about, this is I like to call this kind of like an intranet on steroids, right? From back from the 90s when the intranets were huge and everything, and it was kind of a single place for you to go and see everything about your company, right? Well, as Craig pointed out, all these companies, most companies have more than one analytics tool or digital content system such as SharePoint, and you have to try to remember where everything's at. So what this is basically a tool that allows us to put all of these applications into a single portal, as you see right here. And what I've done here is I've kind of got a little ticker up here for the weather. Um, I've got the nice thing about this is we have these swim lanes. I've got a swim lane for favorites. I've got one for recently seen, one for recommendations. It's just like your streaming TV services, right? Uh, a beauty of this is, as Craig was mentioning, is I have connectors to all of our different analytics systems and content systems, so I can search quickly here and find anything I want in any of the content systems. So if I just looked up sales quickly, this should pull me back all the results for reports, dashboards, what have you, that have sales in the name, maybe have sales in a title somewhere or whatever, and I can go and click on any one of them. As you can see here, here's a folder for planning analytics. I've got our Cognos 12 sandbox environment. We've got SharePoint and everything. So one of the really cool things about this is that I'm going to go to my executive review here. And what this is a lot of times you have these graphs and charts and stuff that look really cool and fancy or anything like that. But what does it really mean, right? I mean, they're not always very descriptive. So what we can do here is we can kind of put some context in here and basically kind of tell you this is for an executive, right? So I mean, you can look right here. It says, oh, our current year sales are up 23% compared to last year's results. Okay, so I can point out all kinds of information here, and that way, when our executives look at things, they can pinpoint exactly what they're seeing, right?
So, Greg,
Uh,
that's like a play on the storytelling kind of narrative. I mean, I know not every tool has storytelling, so
yeah,
is that kind of
exactly.
effectively what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I mean, everybody talks about AI and generative AI right now, and I've got a couple little things here I can show you that kind of tie into that as well. So as you can see here, this is just a regular Cognos dashboard here, and we can interact with it just as you would any other Cognos artifact. So I mean, it's not like you're not just like presenting a static image, right? I'm going to jump ahead here real quick because this is what I think is really cool here. What we've done here is we've pulled together a Cognos analytics visualization, a dashboard report, what have you, that's running over a planning analytics cube for the data source, right? And I can look at this and I can see that Massachusetts has a lot more sales than they were actually budgeted for, right? So to me, right away, I'm looking at it saying, hey, you know what, there's something wrong here. And I've got, as an example here, I've got the planning analytics workbook, again, all on the same screen, right? I mean, I didn't have to log into all these things. When I logged into the application itself, it signed me into all the other tools. And I can show you that later, but I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of time for that. But anyway, so what I've got here is I've got my planning analytics workbook, and I can see that the actual sales for Massachusetts were 17 and the budget was really only 3. So something's weird. And I can see that Florida actually was a little bit lower than normal. So one thing that us analytics or data gurus like to do is we like to look at these and go, there's something definitely wrong here. I'll bet you somebody fat fingered, right? So I just want to go in here. I want to fix this. Well, again, this is just an example that this is a planning analytics workbook with a cube data, and yeah, I can go in here and type in and change things at will. If I just updated that, I
So you're
can
actually
refresh.
putting like budget numbers into a planning analytics cube right now and then refreshing the dashboard that's coming out of an entirely different system, correct?
Right, but here's where it gets exciting, right? We've been
Greg, I
working.
was already excited.
Okay. Well, we've been working with all the Watson X technologies, the AI assistant, the orchestrate, just Watson X AI. And what we've done here is we've actually created an AI assistant. And instead of me having to go in here and type this again, this is just an example. I mean, we don't have to have this workbook up here. I can just do whatever. And look at this, and I'm like, okay, well, first of all, since I just made that change, I'm going to refresh the dashboard here. And just that quickly, as you can see here, this will update, and then my Cognos visualization updates. And all I did is using our AI assistant, right? So now I can, as I said, that I can see that Massachusetts has way more sales than they're supposed to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say load data, and it's going to ask me which location you want to load. Well, let's load Massachusetts. And it's going to ask me what version, actual value. Let's make that 7. So I'm going to go back to my workbook, and I'm going to refresh the data that I just wrote, that the assistant just wrote to the cube. Refresh my visualization, and boom, it's all done. So
That's pretty great.
we're using like was it natural language processing here to basically update our data in the back end and see the results right there in front of you, right?
Gotcha. So a Watson X chatbot that's like orchestrating workflows for
Exactly,
a planning cube. Interesting. Very
exactly.
cool. And I'm
And
sure,
again,
Greg, this is probably just one use case of many, 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 right?
oh, definitely, yeah. So I'm gonna kind of jump in here real quick. So we here at PMsquare we developed this Thrive application, right? That kind of gives you a heartbeat of your Cognos environment. So I've got that plugged in right here too. So if I'm an admin, I can have my own little portal here that has a tab for Thrive, and I can see all the stuff here. And one of the things I like to show off here is our licensing, right? Go right here and says, oh, we're out of our license compliance. So what does that mean? That means contact your PMsquare account exec and let's get your licensing back into check, right? I've also have this hooked up to our Incorda environment where we've created an API, an application, an Incorda application using the Harvest API for time tracking and expenses and stuff like that.
And just to level set real quick, guys, Incord is this fantastic universal data access tool where you can ingest data. It basically takes operational data and makes it almost immediately actionable and insightful with analytics. So, we resell it. We do services work in this space, and obviously, Greg took that as an opportunity to show you kind of as just another analytics system what you can do through this UBI portal technology. Expose it.
Yeah, definitely. So another cool thing about this is I've got the analytics catalog audit. And what this is basically there's a content store and an audit store for the tool itself. And what it does is it keeps track of everything that is going on, within all of your analytics, your digital content environment, right? So I mean, I can see here that my Cognos 12 sandbox has been hit the most, right? And I can see that Power BI, wasn't used as much, um, what have you, right? And here's a report. This is all in Cognos. Okay, these are Cognos reports and dashboards. And this shows you that people have searched for customer the most, right? And then as far as all your access, I can see how many people are logging in every day, right? And again, this is just kind of the tool itself. Let's see, another one here.
Greg, real quick, speaking of tools, there's a bunch of different out of the box connectors, right? I mean, we're going to do a deep dive, you and I, probably, I don't know, in a couple of months, kind of like if this is a 101, we're going to do a, more advanced class here to kind of show a little bit behind the scenes, kind of like from a dev or admin perspective. But if I remember right, there's a bunch of different analytics connectors that come out of the box. Add to my list. It's like Looker, Click, Salesforce, Tableau. There's like a bunch of other connectors that are just standard, right?
So yeah, I mean, if I go here, this is where I can administrate it all, right? So I'm going to create a new connector, and here's just a sampling of all the different connectors that they've created already. And I believe that the goal is to quarterly release a new connector. I'm hoping that
Okay,
we
so
can get
most of the
one.
common ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, so again, just to reiterate, that's what you can connect to here are analytics systems, so things like Looker, Click, Cognos, planning analytics. But you can also connect to content systems too, things like Box or Google Drive or OneDrive or S3 or a file system, for example. And this is where you pull it all together.
yeah, and one of the things I can show you here is this little button down here. This is basically where you can have multiple hives, right? So I've created a couple here, and so now let's say you have one hive, one portal that is set up for your marketing group, and maybe you have one set up for finance, maybe you have one set up for IT. So it's not just like one single one that, covers the whole company, but you can create different ones and you can customize it. I mean, this is kind of made to look more like our own website, with all the colors and the imaging and stuff like that. And then again, as I said, is let's say you're out there running these reports, and I find a sales report or whatever, and I can mark it as a favorite, right? I can let's do a search here. I'll show you quick. Another thing that's really cool about this is I can do a search here, and I can say, show me. You can rate everything. Anybody that's using this, you can rate all of your different content, right? So let's say I marked this one as a 4 stars, and if I go and look at it, I might have, right, go backwards. Got ahead of myself here, sorry. So if I go look at the properties of this, I put in here as, hey, whoever designed this did an excellent job. I wish more dashboards were like this, right?
Awesome.
And then, so that's a little note for me. And it's just like going on to, your Amazon account, and you can sort by reviews, and you can start reading and see what people have to say about stuff. I can put a note in here that says, hey, you know what, this is really cool, but I'd like to see this. So now the developers can actually go back and look at all those comments and maybe make some adjustments to your reports.
And I saw you could tag. Is that true, Greg? You can add tags to each object.
Yeah. So yeah, again, we can talk for hours about this stuff, right? But yeah, so I can actually go in here, and you can create extra metadata about every single object to where, I can add uh, um, a tag that says this is marketing, right? So now if I want to go and do my search, I can search on marketing, and it'll pull this one in, even though it may not say marketing or anything like that. It still knows that it's a marketing report.
Love that. So, in
And
the
that's
ways
where
that
you
I was talking earlier about how you could tie this naturally into like a data literacy program, I also see very clear paths to tie it into your governance programs as well.
Yeah, and again, one of the things I like about this is the audit functionality, right? Because you can now see, which reports or which types of reports people are using and accessing the most, right? So maybe you've got some reports out there that are 5 years old and haven't been run in a while. Well, guess what? I can start archiving that and cleaning up my environment.
Gotcha. All right, Greg, we probably have a couple more minutes if you wanted to show anything more. If not, we can wrap. Entirely up to you.
Yeah, one of the thing I would like to, since Paul's just jumped on here, I wanted to show you what he's been working on. Everything is AI, generative AI right now. So what he's been doing actually is he's created this little, I guess, robot
Sounds
that
like Paul.
that again, like I was talking about the executive review, how it like contextually tells you what the visualization is about. So what he's done is he's able to capture the data behind a visualization. You click on this little button here and cross your fingers. Come on. And look at that. This gives you an AI insight. It tells you the data provided is a collection of sales data for various outdoor equipment categories. The data shows camping equipment and golf equipment have the highest revenue, with camping equipment having the highest revenue at, what's that, $1.5 billion, So
Nice. So a generative AI tie-in.
exactly. So exactly. So that's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
And
Nice
that
job,
that
Paul.
works for every one of these visualizations. So it's like whatever you're looking at, it'll go back and it'll pull it in and kind of give you a little heads up of what it's doing for you.
That's cool. That's practical Gen AI. And there's a lot of, there's so much hype right now. I think we're about to hit that trough of disillusionment, but, there's so much hype in the Gen AI cycles right now. It's a pretty interesting use case, just showing quickly how you can tie it to your BI system, expose it through a UBI system, and, make generative AI kind of work for you. That's really cool.
Yeah. Like here, I've got a link to a YouTube video. I've got buttons here that we can go and sign up for, you know, the PMsquare newsletter if you haven't done that already. And again, one of the coolest things about this is the search functionality because, you may not remember that a report was in, what you call it, that a report was in Power BI, but by just doing the search, I can, search for my favorite report or whatever, and it'll show me where it's at. I just click on it and up it runs.
Cool. And you can even interact with it, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So let me hit this little line graph here and see what it has to say here. But yeah, you have any other questions?
No, I mean, I get it. Well, it looks like a new generative output. So I'm guessing Paul's probably feeding some of the AI insights into like a prompt and feeding it to like some large language model in order to get these insights back. But
So yeah, so this is actually using Watson X AI, and you can actually configure this to use any number of the large language models that are out there. So it's not
it's very
specific to
cool.
any one.
Awesome. We might take that as like an action item here, Greg. Pull Paul in, accommodate the Israel time zone, and figure out how to show a little bit more around practical Gen AI use cases because this seems like a pretty practical one.
Yeah, we're
All right.
pretty excited about all this.
Yeah, very cool. It's a very interesting landing spot to pull all of this kind of disjointed, things that are in the same sort of domain together in one spot.
Yeah, so
Um,
hold on. One other thing I wanted to kind of point out here is if you noticed, I've got little thumbnails of all these reports. So let's say you didn't remember what the name of a report was, but I know that this is what it looked like, right? I can click on it,
sure.
and there you go.
Yeah, a lot of visual cues. That's really cool. Awesome.
It
Well,
is
thanks,
very
Greg.
exciting.
We're gonna save some of this for if this is our 101, we'll do our 201 or 301 here in a couple of months. But everybody, thanks for joining us today. If this topic interests you, like I said, attend the next webinar in the series. I would guess probably in about 2 months or so, we'll do another one that allows for a deeper dive, whether it's, Greg showing some of the nuts and bolts of the admin or developer perspective, or whether it's, pulling Paul in to show, how he's tying into different, generative AI functionality. We'll get a little bit deeper and into the weeds and show you around how to about developing content. Um, but if you want to be on that list for when that's going to occur, make sure you sign up for our event notification at pmsquare.com/events so you don't miss it. I think it's true to say that we generally think UBI solutions like this are fantastic and possibly critical even to, promote your analytics content. So, we at PMsquare really want you to fully realize and reap the benefit of all the hard work that you've already sown into your analytics content systems and implementations. So, this is how you evolve them and present them in a single pane to your data consumers. So it just ultimately makes it easy on them. I wanted to also mention that we're doing an in-person lunch and learn coming up. So if you're in the Chicago area and you're interested in learning more about, managing multiple BI tools or looking to advance your data strategy with AI, join us in Chicago for our lunch and learn. It's beginning of October, and you can find out more about that on our events page, which I'm sure Angie probably already put a link in. So, right on time, Greg. Half hour. Thanks again for the great tour.
I'd like to throw one more thing out.
Yeah,
This is another kind of a side benefit of this too, right? So let's say you're a company that's going from Power BI to Cognos, or Cognos to Power BI, or to
yeah,
Tableau, or whatever, and you're making these changes. Well, your user base isn't necessarily happy about, oh, I have another tool I got to learn or whatever. Well, guess what? You can plug in both systems
totally.
here, and they don't even really have to know how to do it, because it's just there. It's available to them. So
Yeah, it's
it's
like a
great
layer
for
of
transitioning.
abstraction. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like an abstraction layer that allows you to kind of gracefully sunset one while promoting the other one, and make that
exactly.
licensing cost structure a little bit more in line with what you're looking to spend. So yeah, lots of opportunities here to do very interesting things. So thanks, Greg, for the great tour. I'm going to rely on you again in the future to get a little bit deeper because I want to see more about it. And thanks again for your to the viewers. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Have a good day.